Okay, triggers. Then so and plus by using these triggers, we control the DML operations, and also you validated the data. Okay. Now, so not to allow to decrement the salary plus. Okay. After resign, insert the details into EMP resign table. Okay. Then plus you also know what is inserted table, what is deleted table, magic tables. Okay. So the record you are trying to insert is copied to inserted table. The record you are trying to delete is copied to deleted. The record you are trying to update is copied to both. Now, and one more is triggers are also created for auditing. Okay, na? Triggers are also created for auditing. What is auditing means? Okay. Then so auditing means monitoring the day-to-day activities. Monitoring the day-to-day activities on tables. What are the day-to-day activities on tables? Insert, update, delete, like that. So auditing means monitoring the day-to-day activities. Then by using this auditing, okay. So how to do this auditing with the help of what? Triggers. So triggers are created. Triggers are created for auditing. If you want to monitor the day-to-day activities on tables, okay, we create triggers. Triggers are created for auditing. Okay, triggers are created for auditing. Now, so with the help of triggers, okay, using triggers, we can capture the changes. Changes means what? We can capture changes made to tables. Using triggers, we can capture the changes made to tables. Changes means what? Insert, update, delete. So they're called changes. Because whenever you insert, update, delete, the table data changes. By using these triggers, we can capture the changes. Okay. So if you want to capture the changes made to EMP table, you want to capture the changes made to EMP table, then what you do? Take one table. What the table is? EMP audit. I'll create one table, EMP audit. In this table, I want to capture the changes made to EMP table. So whenever you insert, update, delete data in EMP table, immediately I want to insert the details into EMP audit. That is called monitoring the day-to-day activities. If you insert, if you update, if you delete data on EMP table, insert the details into EMP audit. I want to store which user is inserted, username, what operation he has done. He has done insert, update, delete. At what time he has done, operation time. Next one, if he inserted the record, what is the new record he inserted, what is the new employee number, what is the new employee name, what is the new employee salary. If he deleted the record, what is the record he deleted, what is the old employee number, the old name, old salary. Okay, then. So this is the audit table, structure of the audit table. So what do you want to store in this table? which user is performed the operation, what operation is performed, at what time he has performed the operation. If he inserted the record, what is the new record inserted? If he deleted the record, what is the record he deleted? If he inserted, what is the record he inserted? If he deleted, what is the record he deleted? I want to insert all the details into this table. So to insert the details into this table, create what trigger? Create a trigger. So then create a trigger to insert details into EMP audit. So whenever user insert, update, delete, okay, records, insert, update, delete records in EMP table. So whenever user insert, update, delete records in EMP table, insert the details into EMP audit table. Okay. When you insert the record, update the records, delete the records in EMP table, insert the details into EMP audit table. So that is what I want to do. Then, so first create the table. Okay. Then first I want to create this table. So this is useful for database admin, because if something goes wrong, accidentally you deleted the record. So then you can go to this table, you can find out which user is deleted, at what time you deleted, what is the record you deleted. You updated with wrong value. So you can go to this table, you can find out which user is updated, what time you updated, what the old value, what the new value. So you can just go through this table. You can find out. So first create the table. Okay, na? So create table what? EMP audit. Create table EMP audit. But the first field is username. Username is varcat to 1020 something. Next one, operation. Operation is varcat to 10. Operation time. Here I want to store date and time. I want to store what? Date and time. Then date time. If you want to store only the date, take date. Only the time, time. But you want to store date and time, take date time. Okay. Then next one. So new enbo. New enbo. Integer. New ename. Varchar of 10. New salary. This is money type. Similarly, old. Old. Old envo. Old envo. Integer. Old name. Varchar. Old salary. Then so now this is the table. So the table is, so in this table, you want to store the details about username, operation, operation time, new record, and old record. So create the table. Okay, then varchar to then create the table. So table is created. Okay, after creating the table, next create what? Trigger. Create trigger. But what the trigger is? What trigger has to do? User will insert, user will update, user will delete the records in EMP. When user performs any operations on EMP, you insert the details into EMP audit. Okay, then so what? Okay, now Next. Next one. So create trigger. Okay. Then, so what is create what? Then create or alter trigger. Suppose trigger name T6, trigger T6. Then next, on which table? EMP table. Your action is user action is not on EMP audit. User action is on what? EMP table. Okay, na? So user will insert, user will update, user will delete the records in EMP table. Action is not on EMP audit. Action is on EMP table. Then what? After what? Insert, update, delete as. Okay. Then, so when this trigger is executed, after insert, after update, after delete records from EMP. So the trigger is executed. After inserting, after updating, after deleting records in EMP table, so trigger executes. But inside the trigger, what you have to check? What you have to do? You have to insert the details. What details you have to insert? Username, operation, operation time, new envo, old envo, like this. Understood? Then, but question is username. How do you get the username? Name of the user. There is a predefined function is there. That predefined function will give the username. What that is? Select what? User underscore name. So what this query gives? This query gives what? Name of the user. So DBO. This function gives username. Next one. Operation time. This is also get date. Get date, current date and time. This is okay. But how do you know the operation? Operation is insert, update, delete. Because so trigger executes in all the three cases. Trigger executed in all the three cases. Whenever you insert, whenever you update, whenever you delete, trigger is executed. But inside the trigger, how you know operation is insert, update, delete? That means user is performed insert operation, user is performed update operation, user performed delete operation. How you know that? Because trigger executes in all the three cases. Then inside the trigger, I want to know operation is insert, update, delete. Then how do you know that? Sir, here, see this. When you insert the record, that record is copied to insert a table. When you delete the record, delete a table. When you update the records, it is copied to both. Number of records in inserted table is 1. Number of records in deleted table is 0. Means insert operation. Number of records in deleted is 1. Number of records in inserted is 0. Then delete operation. Both table contains one record. Then update. That is the way to find out operation is insert, update, or delete. Okay, na? Then listen. First listen. So what now? What I want is what you do. Select what set. Select what? Count star. From what? Inserted. Select what? Count star. From deleted. Okay. So what this query gives? Number of records inserted. This is number of records what, sir? Deleted. Assign that value to variable cnt1 equals to. Assign that value to cnt2 equals to number of values cnt1 count star, cnt2 count star from deleted table. Okay. Then understood? Then now. So take variables, declare the variables. Okay. Na? Then so declare what? At the rate cnt1 integer, at the rate cnt2 integer. Okay. And then so if cnt1 value is 1, cnt2 is 0, then insert. If cnt1 value is what? 0, cnt2 is 1, delete. Both contains 1, then update. So by using this, we can find out whether operation is what, sir? Operation is what? Insert, update, delete. Okay. Next, so suppose user insert the record. I want that values also. User will insert now. When I insert the record, I want that values in this program. What number, name, salary, because I have to insert the values into what? EMP audit. If user insert a new record, I want that values in this program because I want to insert that values into EMP audit. User delete the record. I want that row in this program because I want to insert that into EMP audit. Yes. Understood? Then when you insert the record, where that record is copied to? Inserted table. Get the data from inserted table to this program. Okay. Then how? Select what's it? What do you want? Number, name, salary from inserted table. But this will print. I don't want to print. I want copy these values to the variables. Then take what? Take one variable. What is this? At the rate what's it? New envo, integer, new ename, varchar of 10. Next one, new salary. This is money type. So get the data from inserted table, copy the data into this variable. What that is? At the rate what? New envo equals to. Next one, at the rate what's it? New ename equals to. Next one, at the rate what? New sal equals to salary from inserted. Similarly, get the data from deleted table. What is that is? EMPNO ename salary from deleted table. I want the data from deleted table also. Because when the record is copied to deleted table, if user deleted the record, so that is copied to deleted table. Get the record from deleted table, copy that record into variables. Then what that is? Declare what? At the rate what? Old envo integer, old ename, varchar of 10. Next one, old salary money type. So copy the record into this variables. Okay. Then at the rate what? Old envo equals to. Next one, old ename equals to this one. Next one, old salary equals to this deleted table. So getting the new record, getting the record that is inserted from inserted table, copy that to this. Getting the record from deleted table, copy that record to this variable. Okay. Now insert the details into what's it? EMP audit. That is our aim. Then, but here username is okay, operation time is okay. Now this is also available. Now new envo, new record, new salary, old envo. This is also available. Now what is operation? What is the operation? Insert, update, delete, depends on what? Counts. So if for example, CNT1 equals to 1 and CNT2 equal to 0, then what is OP? OP equals to what? Insert, no? Yes or no? Number of records in inserted table is 1. Number of records in deleted table is 0. Then what is OP? Insert. Suppose, for example, else if CNT1 equal to 0 and CNT2 equals to 1, then what is operation? Operation is what? Delete. Else, not insert, not delete. That means obviously what? Update. If not insert, not delete means so update. Okay. Then now you know the operation also. Operation is copied to this variable. What is OP contains? Operation. If the number of records inserted is 1, number of records and deleted is 0, operation is insert. Number of records inserted is 0, number of records and deleted is 1, operation is delete. Otherwise, operation is what? Update. Next. Next, insert. Insert into EMP audit. Then tell me how. Insert into what? EMP audit values. What is the first column? Username. Where is the username? Username is a function. This function returns name of the user. There is a function username that will return name of the user. What is the second one? Operation. Where is the operation? At the rate, what's that? OP. Operation is assigned to OP. What is the next one? Operation time, date and time. Then what is this is get date. What is get date? It is date time. What is the next one? New ENBO. Where is the new ENBO? The new ENBO, that a new employees, new record is copied to this variables now. Where is the new ENBO? At the rate new ENBO, new name, at the rate new name, new salary, at the rate new salary. Next one, old ENBO, at the rate old, old ENBO, old name, at the rate old name, old salary, at the rate old salary. Close this. Next one, end. That's it. Okay, then. So one second, let me execute this program, create the trigger, create the trigger. Okay, so trigger is created. After creating the trigger, let me execute. Let me execute. What I'm doing is I'm inserting the record into EMP table. Insert into EMP, EMP envo, ename, salary, values. Suppose some number, some name, some salary. I'm inserting a new record into EMP table. When you execute this command, first thing what happens? When you execute this command, first thing what happens? First thing what happens is this is copied to inserted table. The first step, this row is copied to inserted table. Second step, insert is executed. Third step, trigger is executed. What is the first step? First step is what? The row is copied to what? Okay, na? The row is copied to inserted table. This is the first step. What is the second step? What is the second step? Second step is insert command is executed. Insert command is executed. What is the third step? Trigger is executed. Because trigger is after a yes or no? Trigger is after. Then trigger is executed after the insert. First, this row is copied. Then next, this insert is executed. Next, trigger is executed. You see that inside the trigger, what we are doing? Inside the trigger, counting the number of records in inserted. How many records are there in inserted? One record. How many records are there in deleted? 0. No record is copied to deleted. Because operation is what? Insert. Then nothing is copied to deleted, but a row is copied to inserted table. Next one. So getting the data from inserted table. What is copied to at the rate new envo? 666. What is copied to at the rate new name? ABC. New salary? 4,000. What is copied to old envo? Null, null, null. Because nothing is there in deleted table. So what is copied to this variables? Null value. CNT1 equal to 1? Yes. CNT2 equal to 0? Yes. What is operation? Insert. Then when this is executed, now insert is executed. Insert into EMP audit. What is the username? DBO. What is the operation? Insert. Get date, date and time. Next one. What is the new envo? 666. New name? ABC. New salary? 4,000. Old envo? Null. Old name? Null. Old salary? Null. So let me run this command. Okay, then. So yesterday we created a trigger on EMP table. So not only between 10 a.m. and what's it? 4 p.m. Yes or no? So that is not allowing. We are inserting into EMP table. Yesterday we created a trigger not to allow the operations before 10, after 4. Now the time is 9:52. That's why it is not allowing. Okay, na? But then do one thing. So I want to test. Just now I created a trigger na. I want to test this. But to test, I have to insert. Okay, na? Then, but there is a trigger T2. The T2 is not allowing to insert. Yes or no? Then do one thing. So just for testing purpose, temporarily stop T2. temporarily don't drop the trigger T2, temporarily stop. How to stop T2? Understood now? Understood the point? You're trying to what? Test this one T6. Okay, now for testing the trigger T6, I'm inserting a record, but when you're inserting the record, T2 is not allowing to insert, because yesterday we created trigger T2 that will not allow before 10, after 4. So it's not allowing. Then do one thing, temporarily stop T2. How to stop? Disable trigger T2 on EMP. Disable trigger T2 on EMP. So disable the trigger. Then let me execute this. So trigger is what, sir? Disable. Disable means drop. Disable. Drop means permanently removed. Disable means trigger exists in database, but it will not work. The T2 exists in database, but it will not work. Temporarily stop. Permanently want to remove, drop it. Temporarily want to stop, disable. Now the trigger T2 is what? Disable. Now let me execute this insert command. I'm executing this insert command. One row affected, one row affected, one row affected. Now see the table. What is the table? Select star from EMP audit. Select star from EMP audit. See the table. So then what is the username? DBO. Operation is insert, date and time. What is the new record is inserted? This is the new record. But what is the old record? Null, because its operation is insert. So values are inserted into new. Okay. Then next one. Okay. Then so suppose, for example, I do one thing. So this is insert. Next, what I will do? Then I want to update. Update what? EMP. Set salary equals to 5,000. Salary equals to 5,000, where employee number equal to 666. I'm updating. When you submit this update command, what happens? The row is copied to what's that? Inserted table and deleted table. This row is copied to both the tables, inserted and deleted table. And next, what is executed? Update command is executed. Next one, what? Trigger is executed. Inside the trigger, you are counting the number of records inserted. How many records? One record. Deleted, one record. So both contains 1. What is copied to new envo? 666. New name ABC. New salary 5,000. What is the old envo? 666. Old name ABC. Old salary 4,000. Now what about this condition? False. This condition false. This condition then else. OP is what? Update. Now the record is inserted into EMP audit. What is the username is? DBO. What is the operation? Update. So date and time. New envo 666. ABC 5,000. Old envo 666. New name ABC. Old salary 4,000. So let me execute update. Execute the update. Then one row affected. Now see the table. Select star from EMP audit. DBO update. New envo, new name, new salary. Old envo, old name, old salary. Yes or no? Then next one. Delete the record. Delete from what? EMP, where employee number equals to 666. I am deleting the record. Then this row is copied to what? This row is copied to what? Deleted table. Then what is next executed is delete command is executed. What is the next one? Trigger is executed. And inside the trigger, what we are doing? Counting the number of records inserted. How many? 0. Counting the number of records deleted. How many? 1. Next one, what is copied to new envo, new name, new salary? Null values, because records are not there in inserted. Record is there in what? Deleted. What is copied to this old envo? Employee number 666, name ABC, salary 5,000. And is this condition true? No. Is this condition true? Yes. What is OP? Delete. Next one, insert into EMP audit. Username DBO. Operation delete. Get date. What is the new envo? null, new name, null, new salary, null, old EN 6, name ABC, salary 5,000. Okay. Then now execute this, delete. Now see the EMP audit table. Operation is delete, date and time, null, 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 this one. So when you perform operations on EMP table, we are inserting the details into EMP audit. This is useful something when something goes wrong. User will delete the record by mistake. User will update the value with wrong value, updated with wrong value. So then admin can go to this table. It can find out which row is updated, which record is deleted, who deleted, at what time he deleted. So you can get that information from this table. Okay, then okay, now done this. Okay. Now, after creating the trigger, I want to test. Okay. After creating the trigger, test then. But testing means what you have to do? Testing means perform what? Perform the DML. Perform the DML. After performing the DML, go and check EMP audit table. So perform the DML. One is insert, one is update, one is what? Delete. Next, then. So after inserting, after updating, after deleting, go and check what? EMP audit table. Execute this. Okay, whether this is inserted into EMP audit or not. Okay. So that's how, this is an example for auditing. Okay. Okay. Next. Then But if you see in all these examples, triggers are what? After like this. But if you see the syntax, okay, there are two triggers. One is after and another one what? Instead of. Just see one example for instead of. Okay, then instead of trigger, instead of triggers, instead of triggers. Okay. Ah. If trigger is instead of, then what? If trigger is instead of, then when you submit the DML SQL server, it will not execute the DML, it executes trigger. Always what is executed? Trigger is executed, but DML is not executed. In case of after, both are executed. First DML, next trigger. But in case of instead of, always trigger, but not DML. So DML is replaced with what? Trigger. Okay. Then if trigger is instead of, then if trigger is instead of, then SQL server executes the trigger instead of executing DML. If trigger is instead of, then SQL server execute the trigger instead of executing the DML. Okay, instead of executing. And always trigger, always DML is replaced with what? Trigger. Always the DML is replaced with trigger. Okay, then next. Always the DML is replaced with trigger. Next. So then, like for example, sir, let's take one example. Instead of trigger example, there is a table. Just take some table. Okay, then now, but you can implement either by using after and instead of also. Okay, now then you can also implement by using after. If it is after, then means trigger is executed after the DML. Okay, so there is a table. In this table, one field is what? ENO, next one e-name, next one salary, next one commission. So the table contains these four fields, some EMP, some 88, 99, whatever, ENO, e-name, salary, commission. But what user gives only these two values, name and salary. User will not give the employee number. User will not give the commission. User gives only these two values, name and salary. The trigger should generate what? Employee number. The trigger should generate what, sir? Commission. Trigger has to generate the value for employee number, commission. So user gives only these two values, name and salary, but trigger should generate the employee number. For first employee, it should generate what? 1. For second employee, 2. For third employee, 3. For fourth employee, 4. So it generate the employee number. Next one, commission. Commission should be 10% on salary. Commission is 10% on what? Salary. Okay, then. So create trigger. What? Create trigger to generate values for employee number and what's her commission. So whenever user insert record into, whenever user insert new record, whenever user insert a new record, when new record is inserted into this table, so the trigger should generate employee number and commission. Okay, then what create or alter trigger name T7. Then next one, on which table EMP99 as what? Create or alter trigger T7 on EMP99 as. Next, here see this, what you have to do is what user is executing, the command like this, insert into emp ename comma salary values, name salary something is inserting like this, is not giving the value for what number and commission. Okay, then so now when the new record is inserted, this row is copied to inserted table. So get the value from inserted table to this trigger. Then you need to take what variable. So take one variable for employee number, take a variable for name, take a variable for salary, take a variable for commission, money type. Okay. Now get the data from inserted table, copy the data to variables. What values are copied to inserted table? Name and salary, because user is inserting only these two. So this is copied to inserted table. So get this record from inserted table to this program. How? Select what? @name equals to ename, @salary equal to salary, from what? Inserted table. Okay. So getting the data from inserted table, copying the data into this variables. Next one. After this, now, so generate the value for what? Employee number. How? For the first one, 1, second one, 2, third one, 3, fourth one, 4. Like every time the value should be incremented by 1. Then, okay, then how? So what the logic is? Okay, na? What the logic is? Then see employee number, first one 1, next one 2, next one 3, like this. I want generate like this. What the logic is? Max CNO plus 1. Max CNO plus 1. Now what is the max CNO now? 3. 3 plus 1. Next time 4. Next time 4. Now next time max CNO is what? 4. 4 plus 1, 5. Yes, this is the formula to generate employee number. Max CNO plus 1. To generate employee number, this is what? Max CNO plus 1. But for the first time, what is max CNO? Null. Null plus 1. Null. Null plus 1 is null. That is the problem. For the first time problem. Next time, okay. But for the first time, max CNO is what? Null. Null plus 1 is null. Then if we null, convert that value to 0. How to convert the null value to 0? Is null function. If max CNO is null, convert that value to 0 plus 1. Max CNO plus t. Okay. Then so this is how to generate what's her employee number. Generate the employee number, assign that value into this variable. Okay. Then how? So what you have to do is you have to write what's her select query. 1 second. Select what's her max of ENO plus 1 from what? What is the table? EMP99. So what this query generates? Employee number. Assign that employee number into variable what? ENO. So what is assigned to ENO? This one. What this gives? Next employee number. This gives what? Employee number. So that employee number is assigned to this. But what the problem is? Null. Then what? Is null. Is null max of ENO comma 0. If employee number is null, it is converted to 0. 0 plus 1. Next one. What is the commission? Commission is what? 10%. Then set I taken a variable for commission. Set commission equals to what? Salary at the rate sal into 0.1, 10%. 10% on salary. Salary is already copied to this variable. So at the rate sal into 0.1. Yes or no? Now you know the employee number. Yes. You know the name. Yes. You know the salary. Yes. You know the commission. Yes. Now what? Now what? Sir, user execute this insert command. When user submit this insert command, what happens? When user submit this insert command, what happens? So these values are copied to inserted table. After copying these values to inserted table, this insert is executed or not executed? This insert is executed or not executed? Not executed. This insert is not executed. But what is executed? Trigger is executed. Trigger is executed. This insert is not executed. Trigger is executed. So inside the trigger, what you have to do? You are generating the employee number, generating the commission. Now insert this row into table. Yes or no? Because this insert is not executed, boss. Inside the trigger, you have to insert. Okay, na? Then what? Insert into EMP values. What is the first column? First column. Employee number. Where is the employee number? At the rate NO. Name. At the rate name. Salary. At the rate salary. Commission. At the rate what's it? Commission. That's all. User will submit this insert command, but SQL Server will execute this trigger. So inside the trigger, we are generating the employee number and commission and inserting into table. Okay, na? Then understood? Now first let me create the table. If table is already there, drop. So create table EMP99. One field is ename varchar of 10, salary, money type, commission, what? Money type. Okay, table is created. After creating the table, what is the next step? Create what's it? Trigger. Create the trigger. Create trigger. So then, sorry, what we have to write? We have not written when you want to execute the trigger. What is instead of what's it? Insert. Instead of insert. That means when trigger is executed, when you submit what? This trigger is executed. When user submit what? Insert command. When user submit the insert command, SQL Server, it will not execute what? It will not execute this insert. What is executed is trigger is executed. Trigger is inserting the record into table. User is inserting, but insert is not executed, but trigger is executed. Inside the trigger, we are inserting into table. Before inserting the record into table, we are generating the employee number and commission. Okay. Now let me create then. So, sorry, what is the table name? EMP99. Okay. Now create. So trigger is what? Created. After creating the trigger, now insert the record. Test it. Insert into what? Insert into EMP99. So I'm giving values only the name and salary. Name and salary. Okay. Then when you submit this, what happens? First, this data is copied to inserted table, but this insert is not executed. What is executed? Trigger is executed. So in trigger, so getting the values from inserted table, copying that values into variables. Next, generating the employee number. For the first time, what is max CNO? Null. Null is converted into 0. 0 plus 1. 1. What is the commission? Salary is what? What is the salary? 5,000. 5,000 into 0.1, 500. Now we are inserting into MP99 table. Okay. You're inserting into MP99 table. And then what is the employee number? 1. Name is what? A. Salary is 5,000. Commission is what? 500. So let's see. Execute this one. So see the table. Select star from what? MP99. Okay, na? 1A 5,500. So I want to replay this insert command with this code. I want to replay this insert command with this code. Okay, then before inserting the data into table, I want to do some processing, then insert. Okay, that's why then go for insert of trigger. Okay, now. So this is okay. Then so that is after. This is something like before. Means you want to insert, but before inserting the data, you want to generate employee number and commission and insert. Okay, na? Before inserting the data, we want to generate employee number and commission, then insert the data. So this is something like before. Okay. That is after, this is like before, but here it is what instead of. Now, okay, that's it. So this is about what triggers. Okay, now then. So how to control the DMLs, Sunday not allowed, Monday to Friday not allowed, like that. Next one, like how to validate the data by using triggers, by using what inserted and deleted tables. Okay, next. And after and what instead of. Okay, now then. So next, if you want to drop the trigger, what? Drop trigger T1. Drop trigger what? T1. So trigger T1 is what? Drop. And dropping trigger. Okay. And next, so how to disable and enable trigger. Disable means so exists in database, but it will not work. Disable trigger T1 on EMP. If you want to enable trigger T1 on EMP. T1 is not there, not T2. Let's say T2. Okay, then. So in programming, in TSQL programming, one is left. What is that is? Dynamic SQL. Okay, dynamic SQL. So what are dynamic SQL? SQL commands, okay, generated at runtime. SQL commands what generated at what's at runtime are called dynamic SQL commands. For example, I write command like this, drop table EMP. I write a command like this, drop table EMP. If you write a command drop table EMP, so this command is called static SQL command. This command is called what? Static SQL. Why? Because so first time you execute this command, this drops what? EMP table. Second time you execute this command, drops EMP table. Every time you execute this command, drops EMP table. So this command is called static SQL command. So always this command is executed same. This command changes or not changes? Not changes. So 10 times you run this, 10 times it remains same. But suppose, for example, I do one thing. I take a variable. I'll take one variable, set at the rate what t name, set at the rate t name equals to EMP. Now here I don't use the table name. I use variable name. I use the variable name. So drop table at the rate t name. The value assigned to this variable is EMP. This command drops what? EMP table. The value assigned to this variable is suppose DEPT. This command drops what? DEPT table. The value assigned to this is student. Then this command drops student table. So which table it drops depends on the table name assigned to this variable. What this command is called? Dynamic SQL command. Okay, na? So the previous commands we executed, all those commands are what? Static SQL. And the commands that we are going to see, dynamic SQL. So this is an example for dynamic SQL, because which table it drops depends on the table name entered at runtime. The table name entered is EMP. So this command drops EMP table. Okay, then. So now, suppose if you see the programs, in all the programs, what you entered at runtime, in all these examples, what you entered at runtime, you see the first example to the last examples. In all these examples, what you entered at runtime, you entered what's the values at runtime. You entered employee number at runtime. You entered employee number at runtime. You entered account number at runtime. You entered student number at runtime. Yes or no? So in all these examples, what you entered at runtime, values, employee number, account number, student number, department number, you entered values at runtime. In any program, have you entered the table names at runtime? In any example, have you entered the table names at runtime? No. Have you entered column names at runtime? No. And by using this dynamic SQL, we can enter table names and column names at runtime. So when this dynamic SQL is useful, this is useful when we don't know table names and column names until runtime. That means you want to drop the table, but which table you want to drop, you don't know until runtime. Okay, na? So otherwise, front-end application will pass the table name. Whatever the table name that front-end application pass, I want to drop the table. If the front-end application pass EMP, drop EMP table. If it passes, okay, na, student, then drop student table. Okay, then. So which table you want to drop, you don't know until runtime. So that case, dynamic SQL is useful. So not only drop command, not only drop, truncate also. Truncate table what? Truncate table what's that? EMP. But which table you want to truncate? Here you pass table name now, but which table you want to truncate, you don't know until runtime. And delete command, delete from EMP. And which table you want to delete, you don't know until runtime. So in all these cases, what is useful is dynamic SQL is useful. Okay, then. So then SQL commands what generated at runtime are called dynamic SQL. SQL commands generated at runtime are called dynamic SQL commands. And next, like example, what? Drop table EMP. Okay, na? Drop table EMP. What this is? Static SQL command. Next one. Suppose, for example, declare @t name varchar 10. Set @t name equals to EMP. Then what? Drop table @t name. Declare @t name varchar of 10. Set @t name equals EMP. Drop table @t name. Okay, now then. So this is what? This is dynamic SQL. Okay, then. Next. Okay, na? Then how dynamic SQL is useful? Dynamic SQL is useful when we don't know table names and column names until runtime. Useful when we don't know table names and column names until runtime. Using dynamic SQL, we can pass table names and column names at runtime. Okay, then using dynamic SQL, we can pass table names and column names to, we can pass table names and column names to SQL commands at runtime. We can pass table names and column names to SQL commands at runtime. Okay, na? Then, but how to execute the dynamic SQL commands? How to execute the dynamic SQL commands? Can we execute the dynamic SQL commands directly like this? Can we execute this dynamic SQL commands directly like this? See, I'm running this program. So just executing the dynamic SQL command. Okay, na? Then let me run this. This gives error. Incorrect syntax near @table name. It is giving the error here. So dynamic SQL commands cannot be directly executed. Dynamic SQL commands cannot be directly executed. So what we have to use? We have to use what, sir? We have to use one statement. What that is? exec. What we have to use? exec. Exec in brackets. Then you have to pass the command, the dynamic SQL command. Whatever the command you want to execute, that command should be passed. That command should be passed to exec. That command should be passed as a string. That command should be passed as a string to exec. Whatever the dynamic SQL command you want to execute, that command should be passed as a string to exec. Understood? Then, so means you have to execute like this. What is exec? Brackets. Then what I said? What I said, that command should be passed as a what, sir? String. So that means here you have to keep this in what? Single quotes. But if you keep this in single quotes, like, sir, if you write drop table emp, then what is the meaning? Emp table is what? Drop. If you take student, then student table is dropped. If you take customer, customer table is dropped. If you say @tname, @tname is treated as what? Table name. But @tname is not table name. @tname is a what? Variable. So it is in the single quotes now. When it is in single quotes, then what? This is not treated as what? Variable. It is treated as a string. It is not treated as variable. Yes or no? Okay, na? When something in single quotes, this whole thing is treated as string. So it is not treated as variable. Then it should be outside the single quotes. Then drop table plus concatenate. This drop table is the command. This command should be concatenated with table name. Where is the table name? Variable @tname. Then what? Plus what? Tname. @tname. What is the value assigned to @tname? emp. Now the string becomes what? Drop table emp. So emp table is what? Drop. Understood now? So let's run this now. Now command is completed successfully. Now the table is what? Drop. Now see this, select star from what? emp. You see this emp table is what? Drop. Invalid object, because the table is what? Drop. Then So how to execute the dynamic commands, dynamic SQL? Then, so dynamic SQL commands, the dynamic SQL commands are executed by using exec. Dynamic SQL commands are executed by using exec. Okay, na? Then, okay, then next, and the dynamic, okay, the dynamic SQL command, the dynamic SQL command should be passed as a string, should be passed as a string to exec. That means exec brackets, then dynamic SQL command. That command should be passed as a string to exec. Okay. So we'll see the example in the next class.